A reserve study is often misunderstood. Simply put, a reserve study is a budget planning tool gathering information about the association and designing a path forward. Boards need that in order to collect and spend money effectively. Lenders look at the list of projects and cash and reserves to see if owners will be facing unsettling special assessments. And insurance professionals look at it to see if the association is well maintained or gradually falling apart. So in this section of our What is a Reserve Study webinar, you'll see that a reserve study equips all the interested parties to make informed decisions effectively and confidently. So let's change the subject now and talk about what a reserve study is and isn't. And first, we'll talk about what it is. It's a disclosure document. A disclosure document for this purpose of this slide, and I'll go down this path a little bit. It's what's there, what condition is it in, what will it cost to replace, and when will that be? So we're looking at the physical attributes of the association, identifying the cost, identifying the useful life, identifying the remaining useful life. That's a disclosure as of a certain point in time. Okay. If you find out that our association's wood trim needed to be painted immediately, but it's a 3-year-old reserve study, then the lender is going to wonder, your homeowner is going to wonder, the insurance company is going to wonder, did they take care of that, or are they letting that rot away? So in the reserve study industry, we consider a reserve study a 1-year document. So check the date on the cover. Different providers sometimes will say it's for this fiscal year. Hopefully that's pretty clear. And though I hope you all know that in this reserve study business, we look forward at least 30 years into the future, and that's so we can set the budget aside, the right amount of funds aside to get ready for those big future projects. But we consider a reserve study a 1-year document, provides information that is accurate, that will stand behind for 1 year. So that's an idea here. Why? Gee, you're looking forward 30 years. Well, I have zero expectation I can walk away from even our best reserve study, come back in 17 years and see all our predictions come true. That just doesn't happen. We're in this idea that it needs to be regularly updated, and that's because the following basic elements of a reserve study are in a continual state of change. It's the 3 C's: the condition of the components, how they wear and tear through the years, the cost of the components, how they change their price based on generally inflation, sometimes scarcity, or again, supply chain issues, and the cash in reserves. Have you spent it? Have you collected it? Is it growing? Is it growing well? At this point in time of the recording, hopefully our clients are getting 4-ish% on their money in reserves, growing nicely. This cash in reserves changes on an ongoing basis. So national best practice defined in National Reserve Study Standards is to perform a with-site visit update at least every 3rd year, with an annual no-site visit update in the in-between years. That's in National Reserve Study Standards. And it's from this same concept that the lenders are looking for a reserve study prepared within the last 3 years. And I can tell you, if you're in a state that only requires a reserve study every 5th year, when we update one of those, we consider that a rescue. It's so far out of date. Whereas I can tell you this, a little over 60% of our clients update their reserve study every year. That's because we make it very inexpensive with that no-site visit update. And because at that point in time, after just 1 year, it's a minor tweak. It's not unsettling to the association. So good things happen. All right, it's a disclosure document in a different way, in that we say, based on your cash now and the components now, how does that cash compare to your needs? And that balance, that comparison is called percent funded. And it's a measure of the amount of cash you have to the amount of deterioration at your association. When they are in balance, then you are 100% funded. And then next year, everything at your association gets a little bit older and the deteriorated value gets a little bit larger. And so therefore, you should be setting aside continuing to set aside funds towards all that deterioration. And if you paint the project, then your deterioration is less, your requirement is less, but then again, your cash is less because you spent $100,000 painting it. So it's a matter of keeping a balance between the cash you have and the deterioration at the association. And then to the third element of a reserve study, it is a budget plan. It's helping you know how much to set aside in reserves on an ongoing basis to offset the steady ongoing deterioration of the common areas. Now, I want you to think of it like I've shown here in this slide, like an hourglass. It's steady, gradual, ongoing deterioration. Don't think of it like that roof project or that elevator project. Deterioration happens on a day-to-day, sand through the hourglass type of manner. So this budget plan is how much to set aside funds on an ongoing basis so that you can successfully get to the future. So we are not foreseeing accidents. That's what an insurance company does for you. They look around, they check their statistics and probabilities, and they say, this is possible to happen, this is likely to happen, and therefore this is how we set your premium. We're not looking for potential accidents, but major projects that are reasonably predictable. So we're looking at the things that will happen, not just possible, but things that will happen. Now, that said, we're not looking into the future. We kind of do help you see into the future because the amount of cash you're putting into reserves is hopefully just a little bit compared to how much is already there that you've accumulated over X amount of years as your assets at your association age. But what I want to explain is that based on your percent funded, we can tell you what your risk is of a special assessment. And if you're in the 0 to 30% funded range, in this red range here on the left, anytime you're in these 3% funded range bands, you have roughly a 50% chance of getting hit with a special assessment because you just plain don't have the cash. You want to know that, your homeowners want to know that, and you want to get your association out of the 0 to 30% funded range. You want to get them into the fair range or into the strong range. So knowing your percent funded, you get a little glimpse of the future. What are we up against? All right. And also, in addition to you homeowners and board members, lenders, the sellers themselves, and the real estate agents care a lot about this. The sellers, the buyers should be caring because this is how they could see a special assessment coming. If they're going to pay $500,000 for a home and there's going to be a $10,000 special assessment in a year or two, they might want to negotiate that from the selling price or the purchase price. Okay, now let's talk about what it is not. A reserve study is not just an overall inventory of what's there. Yes, a component list lists a lot of things, but it's only the major projects that are reasonably predictable. We're looking for the major common area budget items that are reasonably predictable that we need to prepare our client for financially. It's not a safety inspection. Don't expect us to be looking around with safety goggles on, looking for dates on inspection stickers, things like that. We are looking for normal deterioration over time. So a reserve study is not a safety inspection. Sorry to the insurance agents on the webinar, but this is fundamentally outside of our scope of work. It's not a structural inspection. We are looking for the patently obvious, the visible deterioration without any intrusive or destructive testing, deterioration of properly built components. A structural inspection is a fundamentally different thing. It's a different specialty, different training, and different standards. And if you have major building assets and you've crossed the 10 years old time frame, you should have a structural inspection. Typical interval there is somewhere in the 5 to 10 year range, depending on the significance of what you have. It's also not a construction defect evaluation. We are not looking at how your association was built and then comparing it to plans or construction standards. So if I'm the guy here in the picture, I'm looking at the condition of the wood and does it need to be stained and sealed. I'm not measuring what's the distance between those, the bracing. What's it, the different distance between the, yeah, you know what I'm saying. And was that light sealed properly to keep water from getting in behind the siding? So don't expect this to be a construction defect evaluation. That's a separate specialty. And so you can see how there's a lot of different ways people may have thought the reserve study was going to help them. And I want to make it clear what a reserve study is and isn't. At Association Reserves, we make the present less stressful and the future more secure. If you'd like to join us in that mission, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment down below with what you'd like to see in a future webinar. Let's plan for your best future.